Insurance Debate 2020, brought to you by the Association of Kenya Insurers in partnership with Kenya National Debate Council.
Welcome to this round of the insurance debates. My name is Luri Tukusuk, the lead judge of this round. I am joined by Felix Nyabuto and Anthony Mwangi on my panel. The motion of this round is, this House will allow terminally ill patients to receive large lumps of money in place of treatment by their insurance companies. We welcome the first proposer to the floor.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Grace Njoroge. The motion before us is, this House will allow terminally ill patients to receive large lumps of money in place of treatment by their insurance companies. The motion before us is informed by the logic that these patients will ultimately die. So after their death, what happens to this money? What happens to their families? We know that it is possible for the patient, with the help of their families, to put the money to good use if they are paid these lump sums. They may choose to invest the money, and this will cater for medication or palliative care because they are terminally ill, and their families will still live free of financial hardships, because this is the very role of insurance, to cushion against financial hardships. Another question is, to what extent should insurance companies benefit? Because insurance companies are like an enterprise. They are here to benefit in some way, but then should they benefit at the expense of life? No, because if we look at a situation where these patients don't opt out of treatment and they keep paying premiums, then after they die, the money will still go to the insurance company, and this will not be fair to those families who have been left behind. So if they opt out of treatment due to their terminal illnesses, the least these insurance companies can do is give them this lump sum, because this way they'll be benefiting themselves in some way, and also the families of these people, because we can't say that we are giving this lump sum for the benefit of these patients only, because people may be concerned that some people will squander their insured wealth or misplace it, but people do not insure property or themselves for themselves only, but for those who come after them. So this is looking out for their families and themselves in case they die. Something else is that the insurance companies, we cannot say that we are giving them money because, okay, let's take an example of a patient in a coma. This patient may, at most, during a coma, we're not sure if this person will wake up or not. And if they don't, then of what help is the premiums that have been paid? It is of no use. So again, I believe that as a house, terminally ill patients should receive large lumps of money in place of treatment by the insurance companies.
Thank you, first proposer. We welcome the first opposer to the floor.
There is a misunderstanding of the motion that has been portrayed by the government. The government is telling us that if we give these large sums of money, we will have stop treatment of these terminally ill patients and will be comforting them in one way or another. And this is not what this motion is about. This motion is asking the government if it could allow people to be given these large sums of money when they suffer from terminal illness. And as the opposition, what we are telling this House is that it shouldn't allow to give these large lumps of money because of the following reasons. One, the large lumps of money are tax-free. If you give small portions, they'll be subjected to tax, and the large sums will not be taxed, and that means that the government will not be gaining revenue. So at this extent, we will be offering to comfort one side, and one harm will be endangered, or it will be affected, and that is the government. The government will not be able to collect its revenue from the insurance companies as it should. The second point we will put across is that we have other insurances, that other schemes and other, like let's say the National Hospital Insurance Fund, NHIF, that can help and give treatment to people who are terminally ill. So we know the chances of these people surviving are maybe 70-30 or 50-50. And the government has already put in place mechanism that can maybe help them, and because we know they are terminally ill, they are suffering, they have pain, and the government have put in place such schemes as NHIF to help aid in their treatment and give them medicine that should help them the short time that they are living. So the insurance companies will help this by giving large lumps of money. It will have caused more harm than good to the people that it's supposed to help. My other point will be that whenever a person enters into these contracts, the insurance contracts, for example, there is the principle of utmost good faith, where they are supposed to disclose all material facts of what they're facing, of their conditions, and all those things. And if a person who has a condition of terminal ill, or they have their family members who have been diagnosed with this condition, and they know that this condition is genetic, they will go, many people will go a step further to exploit these companies, and they will be claiming these large sums of money so that they can maybe fraudulently use it. So our argument before this house will be like, this house shouldn't allow these people to get, this house should not allow people to get large lump sum of money, because it will have opened a gate where people will be able to fraudulently con these insurance companies, where people will be in a position to fraudulently maybe gain money that shouldn't be theirs. So in conclusion, we as the opposition do not stand for this motion, and we object everything that has been placed by the government.
Thank you, first opposer. We welcome the second proposer to the floor.
In order for us to understand this motion, I feel as if it's absolutely necessary for us to go through it again. This House will allow terminally ill patients, terminally ill, case point 1, to receive large lumps of money from here on out, let's call it superannuity, in place of treatment from their insurance companies, yeah? So I think in order for us to understand this, we need to clarify what sort of cover we are discussing at this point. When we talk about large sums of money in place of their treatment, we are comparing two things. It's either or. It's either you take a large sum of money or allow your insurance company to keep paying for your treatment. The only cover involved in this particular game is the health insurance cover, yeah? So when you talk about the health insurance cover, in order for us to understand why we should allow companies to pay out to their covered people, we need to understand the point of transaction for health insurance. For example, whenever you take out a health insurance, it basically covers you whenever you go to a hospital. No one else has access to this money. The point of transaction is the insurance company and the hospital that you're going to. And that is why we like insurance, because it acts as a buffer for us. But then again, what happens when the person who is insured ends up in a position where terminally ill patients especially require so much money to advance their treatment? So what happens in a position where the insurance ceases to become a buffer and becomes self-sabotaging, as is the point, especially as is the case rather with the terminally ill patients? I will engage the opposition in as much as I didn't feel as if the motion was entirely engaged. The concept of tax-free. This is not something that is new. Australia has tried it. Canada has tried it. The concept of giving certain people lump sum if they have been diagnosed to be terminally ill. This concept is there before, and the concept of tax has already been well taken care of. The fact that if you take out a lump sum, then you are not eligible for tax, if and only if you do not reinvest it. But remember, the reason why you are putting a lump sum in the first place is because of your own financial benefit. So why not reinvest it if you know that you want to cater for other people? So automatically the government does make a cut out of that. And the concept of we should not give them a lump sum payment, we should allow them to go through treatment. Give people choices. Let them make the decision for themselves. If they choose to go through treatment, well and good. If not, then that brings the concept of what does the insurance company mean for them at that particular moment. the concept of utmost good faith, and a very interesting point that has been raised, the concept of if we give people a chance to take insurance payouts for terminal illnesses, there's a very high probability that we are going to suffer from insurance fraud. Now, the question here becomes, whose money was this in the first place? Fraud means you took out money that wasn't yours in the first place. Whenever you're paying premiums, you are entitled to that money. And in fact, this debate is really about timing. When you look at the entire motion, it's about, do we pay now or do we pay later? Do we pay all of it now or do we pay all of it later? Eventually, the money will be paid. So the concept of fraud sinks at that particular moment. Now, the cost of mental health. Whenever someone gets diagnosed with terminal illness, it is essential for us to look at the palliative care, the quality of life, yes? SDG number 3, the concept of good health and well-being, takes into consideration more than one aspect. It's not just about you being in pain, because there are terminal illnesses that do not necessarily mean that you will constantly be in pain. And in that case, where does the insurance company come in for you? Yes? So when we look at mental health, at least 25 to 77% of people who have been diagnosed with terminal diseases end up being or going through depression. Yes? So first of all, let's look at the things that could potentially depress someone who's terminally ill. You are unwell, number 1. You are potentially broke because this is a very draining thing to go through, number 2. What is the point of an insurance company if they cannot cushion you against that? What were you paying for in the first place? You deserve to have your money with you. Whichever way you used to spend it to alleviate whatever you are going through should be your choice. Sometimes we assume that the only thing that a terminally ill person needs is Medicare. But you forget there's so many other things that play into it. Are they happy in their last moments? Do they deserve the right to a dignified death? Are they in a mental space that can allow them to enjoy the last days of their living? If not, then that is where your insurance company comes in for you. If they are in a position to give you a lump sum, if it makes you happy, then take it out. Because again, we are not saying that you deserve or you should be given or it is a must. We are saying that you should be given an option. If you feel that care is necessary for you or you want to try it out, by all means, go ahead. But if you feel that you would want to go a different way, take care of your mental health, be happy in your last days, then your insurance company should ensure that happens. And that is what we as a proposition stand for. Thank you.
Thank you, second proposer. We welcome the last speaker, the second opposer, to the floor.
Now, first of all, I would like to bring into our attention the definition or what my understanding of large sum of money is. Large sum of money means money that is more than enough. Why should we give the insured person an amount of money that is more than the money they need?
Point of information. Is the speaker aware that the sum of money, large as it may be, does legally belong to the policyholder?
In order to ensure that the money is well managed, it is wise not to give the large amount of money to the insured person, being that this money is prone to misuse. A person who has a terminal illness is somebody who needs maintenance, somebody who needs things like painkillers. Remember, the proposition stated that the insurance company is as well interested in the well-being of the insured person. What is the well-being of the insured person? This includes their happiness. And the insured person will not be happy if the money that they are receiving is used in the family instead of it being used to buy painkillers and maintain them in the long run. Maintenance does not necessarily need you to have that large sum of money. You can receive it in portions, small amounts, to ensure that the financial management of that money is guaranteed. The policyholder comes before the beneficiary. Hence, if you give them that amount of money in lump sum, it will be very difficult for them to be able to access the progressive medical requirements that they need in the long run to maintain their living if the money is misused. Remember, a lump sum of money is money that you get in large quantities. And as human beings, our instinct when you receive a large sum of money is to use it, to spend it, and not remembering that this person is not going to die the next day. So the opposition is encouraging the House, instead of allowing the insured person to have that large amount of money, he or she should receive it in portion to be able to live a long life, a comfortable life in the long run. And lastly, the insured company can give the money to the insured person in small amounts, and these small amounts can be invested. When you invest this money, once you receive it, you can bank it. When you bank it, it is guaranteed that even if you die, you still have something in the bank that is gaining interest and that is left for your family or your friends or those people who depended on you. And it is therefore the prayer of the opposition that this House will consider not allowing the terminally ill people to receive large sums of money. Thank you.
Based on this motion, the debaters were supposed to address the issuing out of large sums of money and evaluate whether it would be a benefit to the insured persons and the insurance company. Following a unanimous decision by the panel, the opposition takes the day. This is because they show the progressive nature of terminal illnesses that may require continuous upkeep, which would otherwise clash with issuing out a lump sum based on the fact that there would be a misuse. On that point, they give the alternative of issuing out money in small amounts, which keeps up with this. They further bring out the idea of possible survival rates associated with terminal illnesses. This particular point rules out the case of immediate deaths that was brought about by the government. Aside from that, they show that there's the National Health Cover, the NHIF, which is provided for by the government to help subsidize the medication needs of terminally ill patients. The argument of the principle of utmost good faith associated with insurance companies stands because it clearly shows that the insurer is fully aware of the individual's situation before entering into an agreement with them.
Insurance Debate 2020, brought to you by the Association of Kenya Insurers in partnership with Kenya National Debate Council.